This video is going to be about attempting to depict a very bright light source in an oil painting. Now, I'm going to do my best to kind of describe and talk about some of these topics, but I'm not an expert on the composition of oil paints. It might be kind of tricky for me to navigate. So trying to depict an extremely bright light source, this is something that I have found very challenging, and I think part of the reason why is that I don't have formal training in painting. Some of it's kind of a learn as I go and learn from watching YouTube videos and things like that, learn through experimentation and practice and just trying new things. So that's, I think, one challenge or hang up that I have with this. And another is just kind of the technical compositions of paints. So for all of my whites, I use titanium white, just because early on in my painting journey, that's what I heard other artists use often. It's supposed to be very versatile. It's supposed to mix well with other colors. So I just have kind of used that, and I've routinely gone through that titanium white, and I haven't really played around with other types of white. And there are actually several other types of white, different hues, different mixes of white that are commercially available. I most often use Gamblin and Utrecht paint brands, and they each have a couple of different ones available. So I mentioned titanium white, that's what I use. From what I've read, it is kind of a cooler white hue, but there's also warmer ones available and more mid, kind of in the middle types. Another thing that can impact these too is the oils that are used in that blend of paint. I think titanium white often has like maybe a linseed oil or something, but there's others like zinc white, porcelain white, and a few others that I really should probably try. It would probably be worth my time to give those a shot. I think some of them are mixed with safflower oil instead of linseed oil, which, again, from what I've read, safflower oil yellows less over time. So that could also impact kind of the vibrancy of like a bright light that you're trying to depict. Different whites also reflect real life light differently. So that's another factor that I kind of only have a loose grasp of those concepts. I think titanium white is supposed to be pretty reflective, so it can depict a pretty bright light, but there are probably others that reflect light better, or at least I think there might be. Again, I'm not an expert at that aspect of it, but I think it would be worth my time to try some different whites. Now, in the painting that I have on screen, this is actually one where there's supposed to be, or I wanted there to be, a bright light source behind the subject. This was kind of a loose painting. I didn't stress too much about it. I did want that brightness behind the subject though. Trying to do that was kind of a hard thing. Tried to keep it as clear as possible and as blank as possible and put in that titanium white, and I mixed a little cadmium yellow in there too to see if that would brighten it up a little bit. But the second piece to this puzzle that I wanted to talk about is the fact that I have a feeling that a lot of depicting a very bright light comes from what's around it. So one thing that Bob Ross always said is that you can't have light without dark, kind of his philosophy of the joy of painting a little bit, but that's true. You have to bring the color value around the light into a kind of a darker place to really depict that bright light. That, in a way, can require some subtlety, which is a touch that I have not fully developed yet as an artist. So again, in the painting that I have on screen here, I've got the bright light coming from behind. I probably needed to darken the darkest parts of this. I needed to go darker in a lot of these sections, but I wasn't able to get there, or I didn't take it there. Whereas I have some middle color values here. Maybe they should have been more towards the dark. That way I could have really simulated light better and had some more subtle light reflections off of the subject, rather than having to rely on, okay, I've got titanium white in the background, let me just put some straight titanium white in the chin or against the leg that's bent or against the arm. That showed some of the bright light that I was trying to depict, but it didn't get all the way to the effect that I was looking at. So partially there, but not all the way there. And overall, it's a piece that I really like. I think it turned out well, but it didn't get all the pieces. And I think that's something that experience will get me to, I hope. More practice with trying to bring out the right values. So those are my thoughts on depicting bright light. Still very much a work in progress for me. We'll see. Hopefully time helps me out there, time and experience. I appreciate you watching this. I hope to see you for the next one.